Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
The badass,
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Hello and welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder, your favorite true crime momcast. I am Rachel.
And I am Heather. And we bring you every week cases on moms. Missing moms, murdered moms, moms who murder, survivors, and more.
Yes, we do. Thank you guys for being here. We keep saying it. We really appreciate you guys checking us out, being here, being a part of the Like Mother, Like Murder squad, and listening to these very, very important cases. I will say, if you guys would take a moment to go and leave a rating or review wherever you are listening, if you've been coming back and you haven't done that, that really does help the algorithm. And it also helps our little hearts because we love to see it, as well as leaving a comment, whether it's on Spotify or Instagram or anything, just engaging with us. We love that interaction with you guys.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that now. We'll wait.
Waiting. Actually, do it while we talk about our question of the week. I'm impatient. I can't wait. We hope to see it. We truly do love it. Okay, so now getting into our question of the week. This one is coming from one of our podcasting besties. We were actually just talking about her, Kylie. She asks us, what is one case we would want to see solved?
All of them?
Every single one.
Every single one?
Yeah.
Oh, that is such a hard question. I don't know. Does any stick out in your brain?
No, everyone has, I started naming in my head every single thing that we've covered and talked about. You know, we talk often about JonBenet Ramsey and that case, obviously the world wants solved, but
yeah,
everyone
if you
wants
haven't,
them all.
actually, true. I want all of them. But
right.
I also thought JonBenet Ramsey. And if you have not already checked out our Doc Talks, you need to do that. We are working on, so they're available if you become a how do you say it?
Supporters Club
on our Spreaker, but we're also working on getting them up on an Apple subscription, things like that. So definitely check it out. That's definitely one that I think the whole world just wants answers to, for sure.
Right. Yeah, I mean, how do you not say you want every single one? I feel like she wants us to specifically think about a case that we would want solved. And that is so hard. Like, I should have thought about this before sitting down in my chair.
I was like, why didn't you prepare me for this question?
Oh my gosh. Everyone is screaming. Please let us know which one you guys would want solved, because I'm like, why does this happen where my brain instantly decides to no longer be a brain and just be a pile of mush?
I'm literally just like going through all of our cases, and I'm just like, and even the ones, so this is the problem, is even the ones that are quote unquote solved, like in my brain, I'm thinking of Jennifer Dulos, who, if you guys need to go back and listen to that episode if you want to catch up, but in that case, you know, they had two suspects, technically three people who were involved. One of those people is no longer alive, and another one was convicted, and a third one is supposed to be going on trial. And so, you know, people have, there is a little bit of justice for Jennifer, but they haven't found her body.
Right.
And she was a mom of, oh my God, I'm so mad I don't remember, I believe four kids. And they have never found her body. And you're kind of just like, this is, like, even closure like that, even though it's a quote unquote solved case, there's still like so many cases that just don't have the closure. So that's a tough question. Dang, Kylie, trying to stump us.
You know who I'm thinking about, and this might be my answer for today's question, is Amber Hagerman. So the amount of people, and we did a two-part coverage on her case because it was so important for us to talk about Amber, talk about her disappearance turned murder, talk about all of that, and then talk about the fact that the Amber Alert is in honor and recognition of what she went through, you know, and the need for change, and her mom fought for that. And so that is still open. So I think that would be where my heart tells me I want that one solved for her mom, for everybody. Yeah. With that said, we haven't done this in a couple weeks, so we want to shout out this beautiful friend of ours, Kylie, who provided this question today. She is the host of Primetime Crime, and we 1,000,000,000% think you need to go and check out her podcast. She is the best. Heather, say it.
On God and Kylie.
On God and Kylie.
Welcome to Primetime Crime Podcast. I am your host, Kylie, and in this podcast, we are going to deep dive into some lesser known unsolved true crime cases, from missing persons to unsolved homicides. This is the place where we are going to unpack it all, research it all, talk about it all, and try to bring justice to these families after all of these years. We are going to take it one story at a time, one case at a time, and hopefully justice will be ours.
We love ourselves some Kylie. She has been nothing but supportive and embracing and just for all the things. She was our Crime Con mama, knowing exactly how to do everything, what we should do, tips, tricks, everything. And she's an amazing human being, and she does an amazing job. She really highlights a lot of cases that need that attention.
Yes.
And those, I'm sure Kylie, you wouldn't even be able to answer your own dang question.
Yeah, because all of hers is digging up those cold cases. So it's,
exactly.
Yeah.
She would have so many, all the answers, multiple answers to that question. So yeah, definitely go check her out. Primetime Crime with a K.
Yes. And to lead into our case today, I'm going to be telling you, so the case that I'm going to be telling you today, Heather, will enrage you. It is an unusual one for me because it is a solved case when it comes to convictions and prison time. But unfortunately, we flipped. But you were just talking about this when it comes to Jennifer Dulos. Although it is solved, she has never been found.
Oh.
So
that will enrage me.
Yes. Today I will be telling you about the tragic murder of Julie Ann Gonzalez. The tragic murder of Julie Ann Gonzalez. She was reported missing by her family after they were unable to get a hold of her. The way too often misconception of mother taking off, runaway, ditching out on the life that she had was something that was portrayed early on, especially by her estranged husband. But before we get into her fake disappearance turned real murder, we need to go back in time a little bit. Do you know this name before we start talking?
The name is not ringing a bell, but what you just said about her estranged husband is.
Yeah, well, because we see that honestly way too often, and that is a very, very unfortunately common thing in cases that we cover, and especially mom-related conversations that we have here on this podcast.
Anytime I see that, just huge, enormous, ginormous, like, red flag. Like,
I do feel like there will be a certain thing that I bring up that you will remember hearing about this case.
Okay.
It is the thing that when I was looking into this, I heard it and go, oh yeah, this dipshit, that's how that happened. So,
great.
Julie Ann Gonzalez was a go-getter in life. She was driven. She was smart. She was beautiful. She had goals and dreams. While Julie was in high school, she was hardworking, so hardworking that she graduated early from high school and received a scholarship to St. Edward's University in Austin, Texas, where she lived. While in high school, she met and started dating George de la Cruz, who plays a huge role in our devastating case today because he is the scumbag who was responsible for the murder of Julie, although he wasn't responsible for anything else in his life. Mm-hmm. After they started dating, Julie became pregnant, and they brought a beautiful baby girl into the world. We will refer to her as Baby L. With this new addition to their family, they ended up getting married and trying to make it all fall into place when it comes to their relationship, their new sweet girl, and the life that they were planning on sharing together. Some things that we know from all of the evidence and information that has came out is that although Julie was a kind-hearted, hard-working woman, she had been dating and then married a man-child with little to no care for anyone other than himself, and even less drive or determination to make something of himself. George de la Cruz, he had some jobs on and off while they were together, but it seems that ultimately his life revolved around video games, which came before priorities. It came before his family. It even went so far as to when Julie was pregnant and going into labor, she said it was time to go to the hospital, and his pathetic ass stayed attached to his controller instead of being attentive to her needs in that moment.
Catch me fucking pregnant, ready to pop, and someone not. Oh,
right.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely humiliating as a person. Like, what in the world?
It's bull.
Are
like,
you
what
thinking?
Exactly? You put it exactly. Man-child.
Seriously.
Man-child.
Yeah. So on top of this disgusting lack of human decency, something that really breaks my heart for Julie before all of the actual heartbreaking stuff, is that Julie, she dropped out of college to get a full-time career to provide for her daughter. She worked her damn ass off to earn a scholarship. She became a mother and had to make the hard decision for her baby to be able to provide and to have the security in the moment, while in the same home, someone focused on the next weapon upgrade or league match he would join. It's disgraceful. It's
absolutely disgusting.
Yes. And thankfully, Julie eventually came to the realization of how disgraceful it was, and she wanted out for herself and for her daughter, Baby L. But when Julie wanted the divorce, George refused to sign the papers and made things even more difficult.
Of course he did.
Of course he did.
He's a man-child.
Man-child. He probably was too busy with the controller in his hand to pick up a fucking pen and do anything worthwhile. Once court started taking place, Julie and George got into a custodial schedule that worked best for them. It was 1 day on and 1 day off. So every other day they would switch Baby L back and forth, which I feel like, to me, that sounds wild.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot, but she was young. She was very young at this time. She was around 2, and so she is younger, and, I mean, he's home. He's available, I guess, so.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot, but I also feel like, if you're if she's working and that's like the best thing that's going to work for like doing a work schedule, but that's got to be difficult.
Yeah. Yep. When the two were together, they were living at George's mother's house. So they had originally lived on their own, but babies are expensive. Life is expensive. When your significant other is not working or doing things that would help provide for your family, things are expensive. And so they ended up moving in with George's mother into that house. And that is where he still lived. And now that they weren't together, Julie lived in Dripping Springs, Texas with her grandfather, which is about 20 minutes from Austin where he lived.
Okay.
As their separation began, Julie continued to try to move forward and be an independent mother for baby Elle. She was a pharmacy tech at a Walgreens, and she eventually started seeing a man named Aaron, who she had previously known as well. A couple things about Aaron is, so they knew each other before Julie and George got married. She had worked with him at her grandfather's taco stand when she was younger. She was still a minor, though, and Aaron was 23 at the time. And they did start to have kind of a romantic relationship, and that was not okay whatsoever. So Julie's mom ended things immediately, firing Aaron from the taco stand so that they could not see each other.
Mama don't mess around.
Mama bear.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can wait.
You can wait.
Y'all don't need to be... No, it's fine.
Exactly. And I mean, 16, 17 years old, he was 23. She's a minor.
Yep.
Fast forward years later, Julie is now in her 20s. Aaron is back in the picture. And you can look at it however you'd like. I'm sure there are the people thinking like, yikes, she was that young, he was 23, not good, right? Which definitely, like, you can absolutely look at it that way because it is not okay. They're older now. It still remains the same that when they met, it was not okay. But then there's the once you are of age is nothing but a number. So,
well, and you have to consider, I mean, there's obviously a lot of different situations where even if she was older, you'd be like, still, no, not okay. Like if they had maintained a relationship this whole entire time, there's this whole thing. But at this point, she had gone off to college. She had a whole marriage. She had a baby. She had lived a whole ass life in those few years. She's coming at this a much more mature person. And that's, if you haven't dated someone 6 years older than you, it's once you get to a certain age, it's like, okay, like you said, age is a number. But yeah, I think that there's a difference. There can be differences in the situation, and in this situation, I'm like, okay, it makes sense to me.
And honestly, I mean, you could say like the right person, wrong time, but the other thing is the fact that you're right. And from what I found, they were not in contact. It wasn't like they were still there talking. Exactly.
Live their lives.
They came back as older and hopefully more, in a better place.
Totally.
But Julie seemed happy now. Julie was so happy to be dating Aaron, and it came with some struggle or reserve because Julie didn't want George to find out with everything that was going on, and she kept Aaron a bit of a secret. From what I have found and researched, this is all after her and George split up, but he was, George was being a douche when it came to signing papers. So prolonging what the divorce could be. And so I think the thing that people looked at immediately were the fact that, they weren't officially divorced when she was talking with Aaron. But I don't think that goes against her. I think it goes against him. Okay.
Yeah.
They were separated. And that is what I will say about that.
I mean, people, you're separated. And both of them knew it was over. He was just being a dick about it. So even if they're legally married, if both of you know it's over, then it's over. It's fucking over. If you don't sign that paper, that's something else entirely.
Yeah, but the knowing things was over is the man-child doesn't know shit. He doesn't know jack shit about anything. And George became even more problematic. Whether he was actually sad or just a narcissistic, controlling person, he would constantly insert himself into Julie's life, following her, showing up to her work, reaching out insane amount of times, all of these things. Yeah.
Not cool.
Not cool. I know I mentioned trigger warnings at the beginning, and they should always be implied as you're listening to a true crime podcast. But in the months leading up to when Julie was said to be missing, George actually attempted suicide. When Julie went to pick up baby Elle, George had put a note in her diaper bag, and he told Julie to read it later. Well, Julie left, and she pulled the car over and read the note, which was a suicide note. She went back to his place immediately, and George had taken a bunch of pills and was already passed out on the floor. She called 911 in time to save George's life.
Wow.
Which is an even bigger blow to the chest when you know how all of this comes to an end.
Yeah.
Now that we have a little background, we are going to be getting into the details of the crime, from the alleged disappearance and the murder of Julie. March of 2010 is when this all takes place. It was George de la Cruz. It was his night to have baby Elle, and Julie was with her then boyfriend Aaron watching a movie that night. The next day, she drove to George's house to pick up baby Elle. She shows up to the house and is never seen again. In an immediate lie, right off the get-go, George tells the authorities that when Julie showed up, she was out of it. And she asked for George to keep baby Elle another night. Then, all of a sudden, social media nonsense began. Something that I want to add right here is that her family and everyone, so something actually I did not mention earlier, is after George attempted suicide, she requested visitation or to have
supervised visits.
Yes, thank you.
For sure. He can't hold it. Yeah, he can't have baby Elle by himself because, well, clearly, harmful
he had a
situation.
lot going on. I mean, if he's staring at the game, he shouldn't have her anyways, because she would show up to pick up baby Elle, and baby Elle was soiled in a diaper because he never got off of his game. And so everything about him is just absolutely awful. But he lived at home with his mom, right? And so they would plan it for that, where he would have baby Elle. So right here with this lie, when he tells them that she said, "Can you keep her another day?" because she was out of it, every person who knows her was like, absolutely, she would not have asked that because it wouldn't have been his day. He doesn't need more time, that kind of a thing. So then that led into, like I was saying, the social media nonsense. Her family was worried immediately because this was not Julie. Mm-hmm. Especially when posts on MySpace started saying things like, quote, "Going away, hate all this BS, want to run away," end quote. This concerned everyone who was close with Julie. Her friends, family, and boyfriend, they were all reaching out to her, trying to get a hold of her with no luck. And some of them got messages back that were also bizarre and unusual, just saying, she wanted to be left alone. Leave me alone. I want to be left alone. Not like Julie. Especially
this is pretty, we literally talked about this in the last episode too. We talk about this in so many of our episodes, your family and friends, especially someone like Julie, who clearly had a good relationships with people, they would know if this was off, right? They would know if this was this. So I don't know, if I ever if I ever responded to a text from you saying, "Leave me alone," you'd be like, something's going on. It's one of those things where, I'd
be knocking at your door. I wouldn't even wait I'd be on a plane. What you mean, leave you alone? No.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And that's how her friends and family were.
Exactly.
And that's how Aaron was as well, the guy that she was now seeing, because when she left that morning to go get baby Elle, she had actually, like, she had the day off. She knew that. He had to work. And she had kind of, like, joked around, or maybe, you know, there's always a little truth in that joke of, like, you should just take the day off and hang out with me all day long, you know? Because that's what people do. And she wanted that. She wanted to be with him. And she left him this love note saying, like, how much she's just so happy and enjoys being, like, in his life and those kind of things. And so you don't typically see that and then leave me alone.
Right.
Although there were certain things that made it seem like Julie may have ran off to law enforcement, right? Like, to the agencies looking into it, they may be able to see it that way. The day after Julie was reported missing, one of her aunts found Julie's car in the Walgreens parking lot of her work. I'm sure that this feeling had this aunt tripping, you know, like, and it's so heartbreaking to think about, but like having that feeling that she finally may find her or find answers, just to be left with more uncertainty. Her car was there, but no Julie. This Walgreens was only a few blocks from George De La Cruz's house, which that makes perfect sense. You know, she used to live there as well, and that was her job. But how often do we see someone ditch a vehicle and then walk back home to where they live?
Or ride a bike.
Oh, that guy.
In a hurricane.
McDonald fuck. Was that his last name? I can
McDowell.
McDonald clown ass bitch. Look, I hate him. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, he's scum. You guys, oof. So many.
These
people
estranged
suck.
husbands. Like, this is just,
Yeah. So the officers went to his home to talk to him, to talk to George. And George, he actually gave the officers permission to come in, search the house, search the property, all of those things. During this search, this immediate, early on search, the officers went outside to a shed. And right there, the officer noticed something. I'm going to read this directly from the source that I'm getting it from, because it will make you fucking scream. Quote, the officer noted, no, he didn't noted. The officer noticed that the cut portion was loose when he stepped on it, and it almost gave way on him. When he lifted the plywood, he saw a peculiar empty trench measuring about 5 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 1.5 feet deep. George claimed that someone had dug the hole for plumbing purposes. End quote.
what the fuck? In a shed?
Yeah, in a shed.
You're digging plumbing in a shed?
Yeah. The police officers, though, they did not find anything else that could be used to think that foul play was involved.
Oh, except just a fucking grave.
Exactly.
I don't...
Yeah.
What the fuck? Sorry, Terry. Sorry.
No, not sorry, Terry. She's screaming, what the fuck, right now. Sorry, Terry. Like, their search, they find this. They say that they don't find anything else that would make them think that foul play was involved. They held on to the MySpace posts and the messages from family. So they believe that she ran off, that she was alive and not in any imminent danger. So they didn't open a criminal investigation.
Yeah. They didn't open a criminal investigation?
Not in the beginning.
Okay, so look, so if a couple is in the middle of a contentious divorce and things are obviously not amicable, as is apparent by anyone you ask, you should not consider that it is a voluntary missing person leaving on their own accord. Clearly, like, that situation in and of itself should raise enough of a red flag that this needs to be considered, at the very least, a missing person criminal investigation.
1,000%. Absolutely. And just like you are sighing at the confusion and everything, Julie's family was at a loss.
Yeah.
They were at a loss, and it was their mission to fight, their mission to find her, their mission to find answers. They continued to do searches and try to raise awareness, and they even went on Dr. Phil with George de la Cruz. And I want to play a little clip from this Dr. Phil episode for you guys, and then we can discuss it.
Are you responsible for Julie's disappearance? He answered no. He was asked, did you cause Julie's disappearance during the month of March? He answered no. Those were not truthful answers. He failed the polygraph test. And
We knew he would. We knew it.
this was not a close call.
This was not a close call at all.
If he scored a -2 or 3, that would be conclusive.
-3 to either of those questions or -4 in concert is deceptive on this particular format.
And his score was,
-14.
I knew
let's
it.
talk about this.
Damn, so he not just lied, he lied. Like Pinocchio 14-inch nose.
Yes,
What the
absolutely.
fuck?
So to explain that a little bit further, depending on how well the audio was heard and received and, all of those things, is in this, Dr. Phil gives the polygraph test. It's very obvious that George de la Cruz failed it. Her family is on stage, her mother, her aunts, they're on stage. And then another professional is on stage giving the, information about if it was a -2, a -3, a -4. So the lower that number, the more likely that you might be able to kind of like tweak it or lie and get away with something. And the deception, where he did a -14.
Yeah.
The complete opposite end of the scale, just
Right.
shouting liar from the rooftops. Okay?
Of course, it would be this narcissistic. I mean, okay, I know that there's a lot of things about polygraphs.
Yeah, we
and
hate him. What?
We hate them.
So?
We understand.
Doesn't mean that we don't hate him.
But the thing is, of course, a narcissistic asshole like this would be like, yeah, I can read a polygraph test.
Right. Yeah. And there's so much more. There's him talking about the fact that they need to be looking other ways. But so this also, okay? This also. One of the things I need to bring up is that it's a side note, for all of you guys who hate side notes. When researching this, I came across something early on from this specific Dr. Phil episode of people saying that if George de la Cruz was guilty, he was the best actor, the best at being the worst, right? That they've ever seen. Because the emotion, the feeling, the whatever that he showed on this stage in front of everybody was
He's a psychopath.
so real for the viewers that they were like, there's no way that this guy could have done it. Okay?
Nope. Now, not only is he a narcissistic asshole, he's a psychopathic narcissistic asshole. Because this is the thing. Psychopaths are very, very good at portraying something, at mimicking real human emotion when they feel no guilt, no remorse. He's no. I'm George and I'm really sad. No, you're not, motherfucker.
No, you're not. No, you're not. And it's one of those really annoying things that comes along with going on a television show that Dr. Phil sent him back to, connect with health professionals at the Austin Lakes Hospital from mental health eval, where he stayed for days to get the help that he needed. He needed help. He needed to
get a
left.
diagnosis of narcissistic personality
that's
disorder
what it
and
really
a diagnosis of psychopathy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Phil, for telling us something we already knew.
Hate it! Okay, who cares about him? Back to the fact that he is guilty, and here is some more evidence that shows that. After Julie went missing, they were able to pull surveillance of her debit card being used at certain places. A lot of missing persons cases, we see the struggle with the fact that it goes completely dark.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can
There's
find.
no leads, no traces, no nothing.
Yeah, not in this case. Let's go back to
because
routine.
He's a dumb psychopathic narcissistic
Seriously,
asshole.
it's really, really ridiculous. I'm going to get into that exact point. Routine, right? When Julie would go shopping and use her debit card, and they can absolutely run the logistics and see the patterns of these things for all of you complete imbeciles that try to commit these crimes or whatever. Not that I want to aid anyone in this whatsoever.
No, do dumb shit. Do dumb shit so you can get caught. Like that's it.
So when she would use her card, the pattern was that she would use it as a debit card and she would enter her PIN when she was shopping. These recent transactions were used as a credit transaction, differing from the norm, right? The other thing that differed from the norm is that when they pulled up the surveillance video, it was George that was in the video,
Right.
not Julie.
Right.
Right? But this comes
How
as
does
no
he explain
surprise.
having her credit or having her debit card?
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, he can't explain that, okay? Not good. Now, I mean, good for investigators. Now, when they did another search of his property because they needed to go back and actually treated it as something that was crucial and searching for answers rather than a surface skim and ignoring important factors, this was all possible, Heather, because of George's mother herself calling it in and saying there is a trench in the back of my property that was not there before.
Yes!
Yes.
Get it!
Yes.
This, I love it. So this, we love you.
Yes.
What's her name?
Yes.
What's her name?
Ooh, Victoria?
Victoria. This is the type of woman we all need.
Yeah.
Thank you, Victoria.
She called it in, and they came to do a more thorough investigation. Okay, listen to this. Though police did not find any evidence of blood, Heather, everybody listening, they found various types of ammunition, latex gloves, a knife, remnants of burned clothing from a pit in the backyard, various cleaning products, digging tools near the Omnius Trench, and a big dirt pile behind the storage shed that was covered with a mattress and other unused household items.
Jesus.
Screams innocent, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's mind-blowing to know how blindly people can go into an investigation or search. And let me say, because I know there's a million amazing people doing their jobs, law enforcement, investigators, detectives, all of those. And I don't mean this from a way that is trying to take from those people, right? When they went that first time, they didn't have a search warrant. They weren't doing this full-on investigative search. They were asking questions. They went and did a thing. I'm sorry. You see what looks like a grave that was dug in the yard of a missing mother at her estranged husband's house, and you walk away from that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Not only like you walk away from that, but like you continue on that same path.
Right.
Like you continue on the path of, oh yeah, no, she's probably missing from her own voluntarily missing. No. Like you walk away and now you have like the scales have tipped to the, no, this is suspicious.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow more suspicious stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep, come on. They also conducted a search into Julie's cell phone, and so much came from this as well. On the date that she went to George's house to pick up baby Elle, her phone stayed there for hours and sent over 100 text messages. Which, first of all, she did drop-offs and pickups very quickly in
Right.
her normal routine.
Right.
Never staying there more than minutes. Although they couldn't track George's phone because he turned it off, they were able to follow Julie's phone as it went to a friend's house, as it went to the store, as, you know, he went and spent the money from Julie's debit card because he had her phone with him the entire time.
Oh my God.
And if that's not enough, her cell phone never left the Austin area for her to run away like she supposedly claimed she was doing.
Leave me alone, but I'm going to stay here.
And now, to circle back to video games.
Oh, God.
They used his devices against him as well. Because you can also track how long someone is on a game, what their routine is on a game, their hours, all of it. You can track it the exact same way you track anything else. And his normal routine of playing for hours and taking 5-minute breaks to fucking piss, not even change his own baby's diaper, stopped on that day for 5 hours. But it continued.
When's the last time he ever went 5 hours without playing his video game, right?
Not anywhere on their radar because they used that shit in court right against him. With all of this, George was arrested and charged with the murder of Julie Ann Gonzalez, which is a huge deal. Not only because this family deserves all of the answers and justice, but it's just not as common to see a case like this move forward without a body.
Right.
But the prosecuting team was determined and they were on a mission. While George was incarcerated, awaiting his trial, he allegedly got talking to his cellmate, saying exactly what happened to Julie. Saying that Julie and him got into an argument after he found out she was romantically involved with another man. The argument turned physical. Julie ended up falling, hitting her head, and he says that's what happened to her. Now, we know that we can't always believe what jailhouse informants have to say. But one thing that this individual who wants to remain anonymous, I watched the video and they don't show him. He doesn't want to be seen, all of this. But what he says in his testimony is that he's a father and that there's a little girl out there without her mother and her father at this point. And that's what drove him to come forward. Only that. Now, we'll never know for certain, like, if that's truth. I want to believe that's truth. Now, proving a murder without a body is extremely difficult, as the jury deliberates and has to take everything that they've been given and look at it and truly believe without any doubt whatsoever. You know, they have to be 1,000% certain that this is, in fact, you know, that this is fact. There is no other way, no other option. And they did just that. The prosecution, they brought everything and more that, you know, we discussed a lot. They probably brought even more than that. And after 6 hours of deliberation, the jury found George de la Cruz guilty of the murder of Julie Ann Gonzalez. This conviction was important in the fight for justice for Julie. It was a step in the direction to bring answers and any sort of closure in that, you know, part of all of this, because there's never closure.
Yeah.
It's never done. The heartache continues for this family as they grieve the loss of their daughter, their niece, their friend, and their mother, who is, you know, baby Ella is no longer a baby. This happened in 2010, 15 years ago. She's a teenager who lost both of her parents because of the selfishness and wrongdoings of her father. And the most devastating and heartbreaking part is that to this day, Julie has still never been found. George de la Cruz still won't give answers to what he did and where she is. So yes, justice has been served by giving him life in prison, but this family still lives a day-to-day without knowing where their loved one is. So if you guys have any information, if you knew George during this time, if you were close with either of them, if you have the possibility of even a thought where he may have went, any of these things, anything that could help to find Julie, please contact the Austin Police Department at 512-974-4989. And that's it. That is where that stands. It is one of those just tragically horrific cases of solved but not done.
Not fully resolved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. It's so frustrating because clearly Julie was an individual who was incredibly selfless. I mean, she had a whole ass life, successful life in front of her. She, became a mom, and because he was a piece of shit and didn't want to support her or their baby, she steps up. And then on top of that, after they are separated, she still is such a good person. She saves his fucking life, literally saves his life, only for this to happen.
Right.
Like, it's such bull. And I just hope for that family that, there can be a complete resolution. Like you said, the closure of it, you never really get closure when something like this happens. But at least if you can get that bit of resolution, that's a step in the right direction. But it's so, like you said, it's so dirty. He
and it's so sad. There's even more. Like there was another situation after they had, she wanted to serve him the papers. He didn't want to sign it. There was another situation, Heather, where he faked like losing his memory. Like what's it called when you
yes,
like as if he didn't know who she was or who the baby was, and they were out in public. What? His daughter is trying to get to him, and he's acting like he doesn't know them. And then he eventually tells her, like, I was faking, like, that wasn't real. He claimed that he wanted her so bad. He was trying to do anything to get her to come back to him.
That's disgusting.
He is mentally unwell. He is where he needs to be. It is so, so sad. It is so, so sad.
That is. It's tragic.
Yeah. Yep. That is our case. That is our conversation on Julie Ann Gonzalez. It breaks my heart for this family in so many ways. Her daughter, who is now, nearly an adult herself, without both parents, knowing, that it's just, we've got to do better. We've got to do better.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. We got to be more like, I'm sorry if this is not the right name. We got to be more like Victoria.
Yes.
You see something, you say something, you make it right. You, Rachel, you just did a quote for Weird Java, where I'm going to try to remember, the right thing is right, even if no one's doing it. And the wrong thing is wrong, even if everyone's doing it.
Yes.
And that holds so true in so many different situations, but especially in something like this, that's exactly it.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. Absolutely. Crazy. Oh, man. All right, you guys, there it is. If you guys are not following us on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Instagram is where we are usually at. I will have pictures. Julie, she was so beautiful. And just hearing about her, the life that she was making and creating for herself, it is so devastating. And so, anyways, we will have photos. We have so much more stuff over there for you guys to check out. So if you're not following us, go over there and give us a follow to see all of these photos, as well as all of the other cases that we have covered and all of the information on all of those people as well. We will talk to you guys next Tuesday. Until then, just cut off anyone who gives you bad vibes. Cut off anyone who is a douche canoe. Anyone who makes you scream, hate it, just be done with them immediately, okay? Because we just don't need these people in our lives.
Protect your aura. Yeah. Good advice.
Yep, absolutely. All right, talk to you guys next week. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.